in the 1930s, after the last time under an American president, Herbert Hoover, that there was such a big tariff hike. The Republicans went on to lose Congress for
Yes.
60 years.
Now, if you missed the president's appearance in the Rose Garden at the White House last night, the administration's helpfully uploaded a rather dramatized video on his Truth Social platform.
This is Liberation Day. April 2nd, 2025 will forever be remembered as the day American industry was reborn, the day America's destiny was reclaimed, and the day that we began...
Inspired by that, I wonder. But aside from all of that, this was the critical moment when Donald Trump revealed Britain's fate.
United Kingdom, 10%, and we'll go 10%. So we'll do the same thing.
Now, number 10 Downing Street are thought to be, well, relieved by that figure. The outlook, though, still looks pretty grim. Speaking in the House of Commons, Business Secretary Jonathan Reynolds outlined how the UK might respond.
I am today launching a request for input on the implications for British businesses of possible retaliatory action. This is a formal step necessary for us to keep all options on the table. We will seek the views of UK stakeholders over 4 weeks until the 1st of May 2025.
The Business Secretary there. Now let me welcome back to the programme David Charter, the Times Associate Editor in the USA. Hello to you, David.
Hello, John, from Washington, D.C.
Always great to have you, David. What are your reflections on the day after that big event? The reaction, first of all, in Team Trump to the reaction in the market, which looks pretty dramatic, although they must have expected an impact of that kind.
Well, I'm sure they did expect a reaction, at least those who have a passing familiarity with mainstream economics. And we did see, I think, a real sign of nervousness from the Treasury Secretary, that's Scott Bessent, who up until he joined the Trump administration was what you call a supply-side economist. In other words, he wants to lower taxes and cut regulation and lower all the burdens on businesses and taxpayers. However, he's done a complete 180 since becoming Treasury Secretary in order to talk up the tariff program. And the way he frames it is that it will pave the way for big tax cuts. And of course, there's what the Republicans are trying to do today is emphasize that they're preparing this massive tax cutting bill that's going to get a vote maybe in the Senate, its first vote later tonight, in order to try and soothe just some of the nerves that will definitely be jangling across America, because a lot of the pensions, because of the way the pensions are formulated in America, are linked to the stock market. And of course, those numbers, that you can see those in real time in your pension account. You can see the amount that you've got going down. And I thought it was very interesting, just to come back to Bessent, that last night he was out basically advising America's trading partners just to, he said, sit back and take it in. Let's just see how it goes. He was saying don't retaliate, because that'll mean an escalation. If you don't retaliate, they won't go up. And it would seem to me an extremely nervous reaction from a guy who knows deep down that this is at best going to cause chaos, and at worst will plunge America into recession.
Yeah, I did see that interview with the U.S. Treasury Secretary. He wouldn't be fair to say he was pleading with the trading partners who've been hit by these tariffs not to fight and hit back, but it sounded a little bit like that. It sounded a bit like him saying, for goodness sake, let's not take this to a full-blown trade war, because that is at this point, that is the great danger, and it's all too realistic.
It's realistic because Scott Bessent knows as well as anybody in the inner circle what Trump's character is. He's not minded to back down. As we know, Trump takes the tariff regime of the trading partners personally. He thinks that if other countries have got tariffs, it's like a personal attack on Trump. And so what does Trump do when he's personally attacked, when he's in a corner? He fights back at least twice as hard. And so Bessent knows that any retaliatory tariffs announced by Canada, we're going to get Mark Carney, the new Prime Minister, very soon coming out and saying what they're going to do, and also the European Union, and the same for them. any of those are going to be met with an escalation from Trump. There's no doubt about it, and that will further plunge the markets. And I think the crucial thing here, John, is that a lot of people were saying, well, when we get Liberation Day, we'll get certainty. We'll know what the tariffs are. People will know what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
And just 48 hours ago, Besant was saying this is going to be the high water line. This is the ceiling. Don't worry, there's not going to be any escalation. He's changed his tune, obviously, because he knows what Trump's likely to do if there's retaliation. And the problem I think the administration has got is they're not clear about the philosophy for this new policy. Is it a long-term reorientation of the American economy, which is now going to be funded by tariffs and not so much by personal and company taxation? Or is it a bargaining chip to create a better free trade environment for America where these tariffs get bargained away? In other words, they're not meant for the long term. They're meant to achieve a better trading relationship around the world, and therefore they actually won't be any good for relying on funding the economy instead of taxation. So you've got two competing philosophies there, which are diametrically opposed, and there was no clarity yesterday on which one is actually the one that's going to be winning out going forward.
Oh, you have to wonder if the United States Treasury, with a loyalist as Treasury Secretary, don't know what is the point of this, what is the strategy. Then who on earth does? Just a quick word on some action on the U.S. Senate last night, David, where it didn't make a difference, and what happened there may not make any difference. But is it a straw in the wind? There were a number, weren't there, of United States Republican senators who voted with the Democrats to try and, curtail the way these tariffs are being applied. Didn't change things, but I wonder if that's a sentiment that might grow.
I thought this was one of the great hidden moments of Liberation Day, actually, to keep an eye on, because 4 Republicans, not all of them usual suspects, sided with the Democrats. For the first time, an important Trump measure was voted down in the US Senate by 51 to 47. And this was a vote to end his emergency declaration that allows him to put the 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico for not having enough border security. It's not the end of the matter, because in order to pass the Congress, it obviously has to get through the House, which is more highly partisan and probably going to be better whipped than the Senate. So it probably won't pass the Congress. However, the fact that Rand Paul, who's a really big, well-known figure on the libertarian right in America and taken very seriously by a lot of voters, has been very vociferously saying this tariff regime is a disaster, and that's why he's voting against it. He's been very loudly warning that in the 1930s, after the last time under an American president, Herbert Hoover, that there was such a big tariff hike, the Republicans went on to lose Congress for 60 years, he said. And those sort of warnings coming from Rand Paul, not someone who regularly rebels at all, are going to carry a lot of weight and be heard across America.